As It Were production presents.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to A Couple of Old Fashions with Becca and Joe. I'm Joe Lynch.
I'm Becca Howard.
And this is the film discussion show for movie lovers, by movie lovers. Oh, wait, by movie lovers. One of those where
we're all the same.
We're all gabba gabba hey in the love of cinema, where each week we pick a theme, then each of us picks a movie to hopefully go along with the theme. We discuss the order, we go to that couch, we watch said movies, we come back, we see what we thought of the movies, and then we determine if we in fact made another perfect date night double feature, which, gotta say, to be honest, most of our double features have been bangers.
I mean, I think it's a matter of perspective. I really enjoy the conversations.
Yes.
Because it's just interesting and challenging to think of a movie in a way that I'd never would have ever associated it with before. Mm-hmm. There's always something kind of nutritious to come out of the conjoinment of it. I don't know whether half of the films we program I'd actually in the real world would
That's
be
what's
proud
exciting
to
about it,
be
though.
like on a marquee, these two guys.
Not every marquee will have a Coen Brothers movie and a Tony Scott movie. And maybe not those Coen Brothers and Tony Scott movies.
Well, what I love is that we don't know what the other person's bringing. So it's always like a jumble. And, whether or not they're a great double feature, they're always a really cool experience.
But that's the fun challenge. And now that we've created even more of a randomness to it by not picking the themes, and we're letting the magic hat do the trick for us.
The random sorting hat.
Yes.
So exciting.
The sorting hat. It all comes down to that feeling that you get on a Friday night when you go over to a friend's house and you walk in and you see a stack of DVDs or VHSs or Blu-rays or whatever, and you go, I don't know what's on that stack, but I'm really excited at the possibilities.
I love getting stacked.
And speaking of stacks, we love physical media, and who better to get your physical media from than Diabolik DVD, who is sponsoring this episode.
Smooth.
I try. I really do try. So, may I?
Oh, yes. Ow.
Dun, dun. You all right?
Yeah, I banged my elbow.
Can't take her anywhere, folks. Ba, 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 ba.
Oh, Horrible Vacations.
Could you say it with a little more oomph?
Horrible
Vacations. Ready? Take two. Bum, ba, ba, ba.
Horrible Vacations.
Much, much better. So what did you pick?
I picked a Paul Schrader film that I've always thought was
it's going to be fun tonight.
Yeah. Sometimes the girl just needs a little bit of psychosexual intrigue in her life. And Paul Schrader is very good at that. And he made a movie in the early 90s. I don't actually know if you've seen this or not.
I can think of three that you've already, based on those parameters, I'm going,
I know.
I have a good idea at one of them.
It's called The Comfort of Strangers.
I have never seen this movie.
So it's like a lot of people haven't.
What
And
a blind
I've always
spot.
thought it was like a really cool film with an all-star cast and an all-star crew, which we'll get into later. But it's just a really, really epic little movie that addresses some really interesting themes. I'm really excited that you haven't seen it. Oh my gosh. And hopefully some of you haven't seen it. So maybe, this will be an interesting, give vision to the blind spot kind of movie.
There was a point where I went on a Schrader kick. And
he'll kick you. He'll kick you when you're down. He'll kick you when you're going down.
Right in the nuts.
Yeah, he will.
But yeah, there was a time where I was kind of going on a major Schrader kick. But yeah, this one I can't even. Usually when there's a movie like that you say or that comes up, I usually go, oh, I've seen the video box. I have no clue what the video box is. So this is going to be interesting. All right. Oh, shit. Because I thought at least one of us would have something with the words National Lampoons in the beginning of it, but obviously
we all
not.
know which of the two of us that would have been.
That would have been me.
Yeah.
But now I'm second guessing it because this is going to be one depressing night on the couch.
Oh, no.
I have picked the quintessential horror, I think the quintessential almost deconstructive version of A Horrible Vacation, and that would be Michael Haneke's Funny Games. What the? 08 edition, not the original one, the remake. And I have very specific reasons why. And I'm sure this is going to be rough. Holy. Well, the thing is, wait. To be fair, I haven't seen the Paul Schrader one, so I have absolutely no clue. You've obviously seen Funny Games 08.
Yes, I've seen both. I actually had a really visceral weekend as a teenager, like 14 years old. I went on a bit of a Hanukkah kick.
Everybody does.
Everyone does, you know. And I just watched them back to back. I remember coming down from my bedroom for dinner, like, and sitting at the table with my parents and my sister and just being like,
Wait, you watched them like literally as a double feature?
it's actually a really interesting thing to do, but you know.
Wow.
I've never revisited.
Dream girl right here. That's the dream right
it
here.
was brutal, but like really cool. So I assumed The Comfort of Strangers would be first, but now I think it will have to be the B movie, which
You think so?
I mean, yeah. I do not want to end the night with Funny Games.
Okay, then
I don't think Paul Schrader's is like the thing to like pull you out of your Funny Games funk.
Okay.
But like those are the choices we have made. This is the bed we must lie in, and I don't want to end tonight on Funny Games.
So for all of you Bleak Week fans out there, i.e. Josh Ethier, this may be the greatest double feature because shit is going to get dark. So we're going to need
more of these.
We're going to need a lot of these. So, to the couch.
And now it's A Couple of Old Fashions with Becca and Joe. This week's episode, Horrible Vacations.
Yeah. So, that was a double feature.
I'm unhappy.
I don't think anyone will walk out of either one of these movies going, yeah, I feel great, $100.
I mean, only in the sense of like how nihilism can sometimes be comforting, because if nothing means anything, then we have nothing to worry about.
Anymore.
Yeah.
Life is meaningless. Or so saith Michael Haneke, who is, again, not known to be a total crowd pleaser. If anything, he wants to examine the audience, or he wants to maybe even torture the audience.
Yes, I don't know that I would say that Haneke necessarily thinks life is meaningless, or maybe to quote Steve Tessick, it's so full of meaning it must be constantly sacrificed for the sake of cohesion, for the sake of the storyline. It's a little bit of both. It's always very extreme, a Haneke experience. I've never rewatched Funny Games.
Sorry to disturb you. I'm staying next door.
Please, come in.
Cool.
I'm Paul. Okay, let's play a game.
Calm.
You bet that you'll be alive tomorrow at 9 o'clock, and we bet that you'll be dead.
Collected.
So much stress for politeness' sake.
Not your ordinary serial killers.
That's awesome, really.
Funny Games. Rated R.
And now I have.
And now you have. And for those of you, again, who don't know, there are two versions of Funny Games. We watched the Americanized remake, which is interesting because Haneke, or is it Haneke? Does it matter? Yeah, whichever.
What matters?
Yeah, what matters anymore in life? If you've seen the original film, there is very few differences between the two. If you want to go forensic, the only thing that's really different is one of the scenes pulled back a little bit in terms of the nudity, or at least the nakedness.
Made you decide to do the American version over the German?
For two reasons. One, I had only seen the American version once, and the one time that I did see it in a theater, a fight broke out. A fist fight broke out at the ArcLight Sherman Oaks.
At
Two
what
dudes
point?
Right after the... I'm just going to get the spoiler alert out of the way.
Spoiler alert.
Because if you haven't seen this movie, we're going to be talking about some major spoilers. And in the pivotal moment when Michael Pitt grabs the remote and rewinds the actual movie to show that he's got control, two dudes in front started yelling at each other, and it literally started a fist fight between them. I don't know if it was actually the movie itself, or maybe the dude was just being too loud. I don't know. But I'm sitting there watching it going, somewhere in the world, Michael Haneke is going,
Yeah, I mean,
it
great
worked.
moment for a fist fight. I mean, that moment is probably one of the most provocative points in a film that is already being incredibly cruel in terms of how it treats its audience. So, I mean, who knows? But kind of almost adds to the experience.
It did.
The angst of the human ennui on display. It's almost like a marketing gimmick, like William Castle is alive and well.
I'm sure if Warner Brothers knew that there was that fight, they would have been like, this movie elicits fist fights. It's kind of like when The Exorcist came out and they were talking about how many people were puking in the aisles. What's interesting too is that this movie is very formalist. It could have almost been a play. This feels like a version of this play that's been brought in with new actors.
That's been done. That would be kind of a good
I don't know how you'd be able to
play.
do it.
Oh, I would love to do it as a play. Just turn to the audience, maybe walk into the audience and make them like be a part of it, like go and sit in or something.
I would watch. I would watch it once. I'd probably be able to do it once.
For those who haven't seen the film, you should set it up quickly.
So the movie revolves around a family played by Tim Roth, Naomi Watts, and Devin Gerhard.
Devin.
They're going out to. It's shot in. This version is shot in Long Island. They're going out for. They seem like city folk that are going out to the country to their weekend home to have a little vacation.
They're fancy folks.
And unfortunately, that gets interrupted by two ne'er-do-well looking gentlemen in all white and white gloves who they first see next door with another neighbor and then eventually make their way to their house and in a very systematic way start playing games with them, psychological games that turns into physical games, and ultimately they are tortured into submission, control, and ultimately death.
I don't know if I quite agree with your analysis, but good setup. So that is essentially what the film begins as. And I love the beginning so much. The shining shot. It's the shot of the family car going to their family vacation home. And we hear them debate over opera as they put different CD, which I imagine in the mid 2000s was like fancy to have a CD player. Maybe okay.
But it's getting there.
You get the impression all before even seeing a face that you like they are an educated, well-to-do family. They like to challenge each other on memory games to do with opera.
Yeah, they're
singers.
playing games right from the jump.
I know, but it's like very safe.
Yeah.
Games that almost reinforce their ideas of themselves.
And then just like in the original film, using the same exact song, when the title card hits, it goes into absolute chaotic metal.
I love it so much. It's
I do
so
too.
violent, the way it sort of cuts into their happy little family moment.
I remember seeing the original film and thinking like, okay, something is amiss. As opposed to something like, The Vanishing, that original film, another movie that got remade by the same director.
Another one I haven't been able to rewatch.
Even with that movie, though, it makes you think that this is just a normal road trip that they're taking. Nothing's going to go wrong. Within the first 3 minutes of this movie, this vacation is going to get horrible.
Yeah, but you do get a good amount of time to establish the geography of the house, the dynamic between the family. It's really like the first 20 minutes. The first kid turns up, though. It just happens really fast. For some reason, I thought it took longer, but nope. There Peter is.
And not only that, but like you immediately see them when they pull up to the neighbor's house and you see them from afar. Something that is reflected later on when the two boys, almost like a virus, when they're kind of transferring from family to family.
It helps a lot is to establish trust for their next victims, that their first scene with the other family, which in retrospect, you must know that you realize that first family were being held captive and that's why they're acting so strangely.
Yeah.
Their appearance of acceptability within that dynamic means that they're able to keep gaining access to the home, because his first words are always, "Don't you remember me? I was with that other family that you deemed to be acceptable within your little world of white upper class." And I do love the bourgeois whiteness of this Sag Harbor kind of location. And I do think that the white motif is excellent within it. even in the house, there's so much white walls, white tiles on the floor. She drops an egg and you see the white eggshell hit the ground. And I think when you employ white so often, it does give a sense of like imminent violation, because it's like
very clinical.
Yeah, it's a cleanness to it that feels like it's going to be made dirty. The same reason why I can't wear like a white winter coat, even though they're so pretty and I want it so much. Every time I put it on, I'm like, gorgeous. I know, like within seconds of wearing that coat,
it's
out
gonna
in the
get
real
shit
world,
on it.
I'll like eat a hot dog and I'll be like,
a hot dog.
Yeah, and it was just the relish. God, and that's why I can't have nice things. But when you see white, that is often people's association, the cause and effect. And I also think that it gives a sense of kind of, like you were saying, clinical hospital. And the fact that Paul and Peter wear all white with these white shorts and white gloves, it gives a sense of like being an orderly almost, or like a nurse.
Okay.
And let me finish.
All right.
Because it is like they're there to teach them a lesson.
When you watch it again, you know the experiment. You know what's coming. So you're looking for all the little tells, not just the moments when Michael Pitt. So the two boys are played by Michael Pitt and Brady Corbet, future brutalist director Brady Corbet. Anytime that they look and start spiking well, actually, it's mostly Michael Pitt that kind of breaks the fourth wall more
like
than anything.
In the first film.
But this time I kept thinking of, because this feels like Haneke's experiment, right? He's experimenting not just on the people that are in the room, the space, but also the audience. It feels like the only thing that they're missing is a cutaway to Haneke and like the other filmmakers against glass, and they're just like kind of making observations. Anytime that you tell a DP that you want to shoot white, they want to blow their fucking brains out. So the fact that they specifically made white this motif that kind of played off of itself, they changed it all around, where now they're making it seem like anytime that you want to walk it, like, or that you walk into like a hospital, I get that kind of sense of dread when I see those white walls. So all of that plays into the social experiment that Haneke is creating with the movie to basically take the audience on this journey of, I'm going to give you what you want. I'm going to give you the violence. I'm going to give you the sadism. It was marketed as the elevated torture porn movie, as opposed to the Hostels and the Captivity. I don't know if you remember that one, but that was like really gritty and grimy. And they were like, you know what? Let's give the art house crowd.
They're the masochist in all of us.
But that's, I think, part of the reason why Haneke even thought about doing it over again, because we were in a society and a culture that was spending a lot of money on watching people get tortured.
I forget every time I watch the movie how compliant they are immediately. Like, it doesn't take much. They enter the home, they keep asking for eggs and messing with this poor woman, and she keeps trying to
get them out of
but
there.
She's being extremely polite, and so is Tim Roth. Like, he can't understand why she kicks them out, and it's almost as if they're acting in this kind of like shell shocked, like the eggs shocked. I don't know. The slowness of their response to the urgency of the situation is almost like they can't believe it's happening to them. Like, they expect on vacation in the trappings of their wealth, in their holiday home,
where they feel like they have control,
that they are going to be protected because they've always been so before. And it's like they can't stop what's happening because they can't believe that it started.
This is on paper a home invasion movie, right? And in most home invasion movies, after the people get in, it's usually guns a-blazing, stockings on, everyone's yelling and screaming, and snot's coming out of their nose. For the longest time, Haneke and the boys use they use politeness and passive aggression.
There's a line that says so much, one of the boys says, so much stress for politeness' sake. This family expected the rules of polite society to protect them. And then these boys come along and start messing with them and playing games governed by no rules that this family has ever experienced before. There's even a moment when they leave them alone in a house, that famous long take where they're trying to pick up the pieces of all these horrible things that have happened to them. Even at that point, when they have a chance to escape, they waste so much time
Yeah.
trying to call on this damaged phone to the police, the authority figures of polite society that he expects to protect him because they've always done so. And he's protected by his privilege. That's been this complacent knowledge that he spent his entire life governed by. Like, he can't believe that they won't come and save him because that's what they're supposed to do. She manages to run away, but she runs to a nearby house of her compatriots, her fellow rich people, and she screams through the gate for them to come and save her, obviously like bringing attention to where she is, and then gets caught again because she tries to flag down a car that they're driving. She also just expected her neighbors, her friends and neighbors, the other rich people in this gated community, to protect her. Like, they just had all of these bizarre societal expectations for how this was going to go down. They expect to win because they were born having won the game. And these kids
They're already
come
born
along
with the silver spoon in their
and
mouth.
they introduce them to a whole new game, and they just don't. They're always on the back foot. They never quite understand how to play it, and then they've already lost.
You can't see, I don't see Benny's video or Cachet as
White
being
ribbon.
like, or just being like, conventional displays of cinematic violence and, the kind of genre histrionics and the trappings that we all expect from these movies.
I don't think Haneke has any interest in the conventional except to subvert the conventions, like in Funny Games.
Brady Corbet gets shot, right? And then and they change it and then they rewind it and everything. That's the only cathartic moment of violence you get when when George gets hit in the leg. You don't see it, you just see him fall. When the kid is blown away, you don't see that.
I love that bit though, because it's not just that you don't see it. You specifically are in the kitchen with Michael Pitt and he's making a sandwich. Because I basically think this entire movie is somewhat, if you're going to find any sort of allegory in it, about death and our fears about this inevitable mortal coil from which we are attached. It's like these boys are in on that knowledge and they're okay with it. That goes back to my nihilist theory, because when he hears that horrible gunshot and the parent screaming in the other room, he just casually keeps making a sandwich because he knows whatever he does to react to this doesn't matter. He keeps questioning the audience, what we would do, but it doesn't matter. He's just trying to shake us out of our own passive complacency in the same way that they're trying to shake out this family. But ultimately, he knows we won't be and they won't be. They know nothing they do is going to change it. They're like the archangels of death.
They are Haneke's kind of bastions of chaos. They are they are the angels of chaos swooping in, and the fact that they refer to the audience again, like it looks like they're looking against that like one-way glass, kind of asking questions to anyone who's behind it. I even think it was a very sly in-joke or cameo that Haneke's wife is in the boat in the beginning of the film, almost as if she's in on it too as Haneke's wife, and kind of going like, hi guys, it's like, good luck.
And just to add as well to your point about the violence on screen, there is, I think, a really interesting, like the only time apart from when one of the kids is blown away and then the other kid literally rewinds.
Grabs a remote and rewinds the scene.
Yes, exactly. But again, it relates to the theme of like death is inevitable.
And hopelessness.
Anything you do to prevent death is going to ultimately just backfire or get rewound because there is no point. The other death that you do see is Naomi Watts's, but it's like it's so passive. It's so pathetically passive, because the other violence, you're right, you don't see it. You're always on somebody else, but they're really active moments of striking violence.
They're talking about like metaphysics, and they just casually just dump her off, and then smart to keep the camera rolling. Ask
about breakfast options, like they're getting hungry, and that's why he's like, oh, she had a whole hour left before we were going to kill her by 9 a.m. He's like, yeah, but I'm getting hungry. And it's so that's so wonderful in a way, because again, that's like life. Like we deal with the histrionics of death and the drama and the opera of it, like the beginning, all the time. But ultimately, we're just animals who are following the heavy metal of what to eat and when to, have sex, and that's pretty much it. Like, there is no trappings of society. We're all just dead.
I'm glad you brought up the rewinding part, because it reminded me of how, and back in '97, the only kind of time loop movie that we ever had, which wasn't really a device of the director, it was just kind of like something crazy and supernatural is happening to Bill Murray, and that's why he keeps repeating the day. But since then, there have been a lot of time loop movies used in various forms for various reasons. And I never thought about this until now. How many times if those two guys were actually stuck in a time loop, I wonder how many times that they stopped and rewound various scenarios so that it would continue in their favor. Like, how many times did they first walk in and they couldn't get Naomi Watts to give them eggs? So did they rewind it then? Did the dog bite them and they rewound it again? I know, but it's those sort of things. Exactly. But it's those sort of things that make this a movie that kind of sticks to the roof of your mouth like peanut butter. Yeah. And as much as it's an unpleasant experience, I like the experiment.
I actually found it to be a much less unpleasant experience this time around. And I think it's because as the movie wore on and I stopped trying to root for the family because it was like hopeless. It's funny how even though I knew they all died, every time I watch it, I'm like, but no, they die. I let go of that about halfway through, and I was like, okay, Sarah, and like,
well, if you put the onus on the point of view, and also like you're relinquishing control, because that's usually what you do when you see, like when you have a hero or a heroine.
But my point is that I found it a lot more enjoyable
by giving the power to them
when I stopped hoping.
Yeah. No, that like when it's not when you change your perspective on will they make it, will they survive, to I want to see how long it takes before, one of them, because they start calling each other Beavis and Butthead at one point. Like, you start enjoying the devilishness of their games.
That is really the point of it. If there's anything good, like positive to take away from the experience, I think it's that if we applied that to our own life and just stopped hoping to avoid the inevitable, stopped hoping to avoid death, stopped fearing it so much, we'd probably enjoy our lives a lot more.
In this case, it's almost like Haneke is saying, like, what would you do in this situation if you were them, if you were the boys, or if you were me? And what do you want? What do you want to get out of this? You want violence? I'm going to give it to you. But I'm not going to give it to you in the conventional way that you want, with lots of slow-mo and squibs and shit. I'm going to give it to you in a way that is going to challenge you. And you know what? I was up for the challenge.
And if you want more discussions about violence, then stay tuned, because our B picture was also pretty bleak.
It's
So come back after the break, please.
Come back right after this.
Freshen up your drinks.
From a word from our sponsor. Hey, do you like movies? I know you like movies. I know you like movies. You know what? I love movies, but you know what I love about movies even more sometimes than like going to the theatrical experience and watching it with a crowd is having a physical copy of that movie in my sweaty little palms. Like this copy of The Last Drive-In that just happens to have two of my movies in. Look at that. It feels weighty. It's got girth. It's strong. It's tight. I love it. And you know where you can get that title and more? DIABOLIKDVD.com. Because you know what? For over 20 years, DIABOLIKDVD.com has been your source for horror, cult, and weird cinema to customers around the globe.
Yeah, I love Diabolic DVD. It's so great having a one-stop shopping experience from all of those different Blu-ray labels, because, I mean, thank God there's so many nowadays, but you need one place to curate them all. There's places like Arrow and Shout Factory and Mondo Macabre and Kino Lorber and every single one. And what's great about Diabolic DVD is that it has every single version of the movie, no matter what region you are, available on their shop.
Now, because it's this week, we're talking about horrible vacations, we thought that we would give you two more titles that are available at DIABOLIKDVD.com. Do you want to go first?
I went first last week.
All right, fine. I'll go first. The title that I picked was also another one that I was almost going to go with, but considering that I picked a remake of a movie in an isolated cabin, horrible things happen.
Oh, geez, maybe I should have gone first.
Fede Alvarez's 2013 remake of Sam Raimi's classic, Evil Dead.
I love that movie.
I didn't like it at first, but now I absolutely love it. And there's nothing better to rediscover a movie than a movie that has a brand new transfer. It's got a 4K transfer. It actually has the theatrical and the director's cut on it. Tons of commentary. For those movies that you want to rediscover, you can't go wrong. And it's Shout Factory seal of quality right there.
I rediscovered a film via DIABOLIK DVD that I couldn't actually believe I'd never seen before because I'm a big fan of the show Westworld. Never seen the 1973
Really?
Michael Crichton written and directed original featuring James Brolin.
James Brolin. Yul Brenner.
Well, James Brolin and Richard Benjamin going to a tourist destination and ending up being murdered-ish by Yul Brenner as a malfunctioning AI. Never seen it.
Wow.
So I was browsing DIABOLIK DVD and I was like, bye.
It was that easy.
It was the best Friday ever.
So there you go. 2 more titles under our theme this week. Horrible Vacations that you can get at diabolicdvd.com. Because, whenever you're looking for that definitive version of Reanimator or trying to just upgrade that old crusty DVD of Eraserhead to glorious, grimy 4K, Diabolik DVD has you covered with an owner-operated small business choice that you have been craving.
You can shop for all of that online at diabolicdvd.com or its sister website, cauldronfilms.com. And if you have a little bit of trouble spelling Diabolik, that's DIABOLIK DVD.com.
So keep physical media alive and back to the show.
And now, on with the show.
All right, so second film.
Second film is The Comfort of Strangers, an underrated Paul Schrader that I was very happy to introduce you to.
The Comfort of Strangers, starring Christopher Walken, Rupert Everett, Natasha Richardson, and Helen Mirren. A film by Paul Schrader. Screenplay by Harold Pinter. The Comfort of Strangers, where fantasy and fear live on the other side of the mirror.
I had no recollection of even hearing about this movie until you watched it.
My costume is already falling apart. So I tried to wear a kind of Venice-y summer dress as per Miranda Richardson.
You look wonderful.
And my shawl keeps trying to escape. See, I'm still trying.
Well, you know what? If you had Rupert Everett's shoulders, they would be draping off immediately.
So yes, it's about a couple. Basically, we start the film in Venice. We get all these vague impressions of a beautiful Venetian room with this interesting Italian voiceover man that sounds suspiciously like Christopher Walken.
Voiceover man. Voiceover man.
And what I love about how it starts is it doesn't quite give you any sense of where or what or why. So it's like the first day or two of a vacation in your memories. It's those first kind of weird jet laggy days that are all just vague impressions. But then immediately we're introduced to this couple, Everett and Richardson, who are called Colin and Mary in the movie. And they are at that stage in a long-term relationship where things are the fires are cooling down. They're somewhat burnt out. You see Everett on the phone with sort of a vague editing job he has. Yeah. Richardson, Mary's on the phone to her kids. They're in that kind of voyage to Italy moment where they've been to Venice before and they've come back in the hopes of rediscovering the passion of the early days of their relationship.
They keep saying that too, like last time.
Yeah, exactly. And Mary said that they leave the St. Augustine. Oh, that was just amazing. And Colin is like, oh, you thought that the last time. She looks really hurt. It's like almost as though you try to go on vacation to rediscover yourself and don't find anyone there. And it's sort of like the sense of just total identity loss. They're struggling with that. And that's how the movie begins. First, we meet Robert. And I love how we're introduced to Robert is through the mediation of a screen, similarly to Funny Games, because Colin and Mary asked to have a picture taken by another tourist couple. Yeah. You know how in movies you tend to have that moment where someone takes a picture and it's like and
it's usually from the actual frame that that the cameraman in the movie took.
And they cut to that. In this, they take a picture and they cut to like a side shot of it, and you're like, it's discombobulating and confusing, and you're like, what is happening?
I love that moment.
It's such a great
because immediately
you're like,
you know
what the fuck?
someone's watching.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then the greatest horror of all. They're hungry and nowhere is open for dinner.
Oh, I'm watching this like I'm sitting there going like that is our worst nightmare. Being in a foreign country late at night and there's no food.
They get lost in a foreign city, which doesn't really happen anymore. It's a lot more difficult to get lost.
Yeah, there's no city mapper, there's no phones.
Yeah.
It's just you just start to stroll, and
for-
every shadow can be in something ominous.
Yeah, for a moment I was almost nostalgic for getting lost in a city, but when by the end of this movie, with the course of how things transpired as a result of getting lost and who they meet on their journey, I was like, nope, I'm glad I have technology. Sometimes it's useful. There's a really cool moment where they're walking through these streets of Venice and they see this like shop front with these mannequins that are completely have no identifiable features. And when she looks at this female mannequin who's only identifiable from her clothes, she says like, oh, she reminds me of someone. And it's almost like she identifies with her,
like looking through the mirror.
Her own insecurity about her own lack of identity at this point in her life. And then they run into Robert, who is played by Christopher Walken, an Italian man in a white suit who promises them food. And I think even I would have ventured off with Christopher Walken in an Italian accent in a white suit. If
anybody who says like, oh yeah, right this way, it's that moment in Goodfellas where he's going like, oh yeah, just go down the corner there.
If you were hungry and out of hope, though.
Sure, I guess, maybe.
I don't know. I'm the idiot that would have like followed a trail of breadcrumbs right to the witch's lair. Like,
but when they do find the place, the whole time I'm thinking like they're gonna walk into a torture chamber, they're gonna get thrown into a pit.
They basically do.
But
because they walk into Robert's bar, and we're a place where he has complete control, by the way.
Hopping.
And there is no food.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, oh, the chef is dead. Not dead, sorry. Oh, the chef is sick. I could murder him. And like...
Your walking's pretty good.
Thank you.
Drink.
I could murder you. Like, what? You said there'd be food. Anyway, instead of food, he just gives them a wine. I would have been so upset. They have like breadsticks as the only thing.
Oh, those little thin breadsticks?
Yeah. Where's my sandwich?
Baguette.
God damn it. It's almost, again, like Funny Games. The stress of for the sake of politeness. They obviously don't want to be in this situation where they're sitting with this random man drinking red wine. Like, you see them start guzzling wine, and there was a moment where I was like, must be what it's like to be on a date with us, because they ask him a simple question of like, how did you meet your wife? And he's like, well, to understand how I met my wife, you gotta understand me, and to understand me, you gotta understand my father. And he goes into this diatribe.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh God, it's like when people ask us a question and it's like 1 hour later.
Yeah.
We're still talking.
Sorry.
It's the same story that the voiceover guy at the beginning was saying it's this strange psychosexual story about this child and his relationship to his father, and it was the dominant submissive politics at play within that relationship.
It almost sounds like the way he tells it sounds like a poem.
Definitely incredibly rehearsed.
Yeah.
Pinter adapted it from a novel by Ian McEwan.
I think that sounds right. Yeah.
And who wrote Atonement as well. A lot of great novels. He's a huge British writer.
And then to have another writer direct it.
And then like had Paul Schrader direct it with like Angelo Badalamenti.
Dante Spinati was the DP.
It's a like all-star
Murderer's Row
crew
of craftsmen in this movie.
Really, it's extraordinary. And I love Schrader's choice, like as Robert's telling the story, to kind of go around the bar and you see all these, you don't stay on him, you see all these shots of all these different people hanging out and meeting one another. And it's like made me think of that song, strangers in the night, exchanging glances, taking chances, all that stuff, because it's like, it made me really think about the fact that when we go out on a night out, part of the fun of it is it's almost like a mini vacation, because you do get to vacate yourself and your
safe
life.
Surroundings and your comfortability factor.
But you get to reinforce your sense of self because you're with all these strangers who've never met you before, or indeed invent an entirely new persona if that's more your vibe. If you do kind of feel lost in yourself. You meet all these people who haven't heard your stories before, who don't know who you are, and you tell them.
Because you're like almost
ego
resetting.
Stroke. Yeah.
Tell me your story.
Joe tells a story when we are out and about, and I'm like, oh, time to go hit the restroom because I've heard the story like 10 times.
I always
at least.
listen to every story Becca tells.
I
over
never
and over
retell
again.
a story. I'm much more excited to hear what other people are going through in their lives.
Sure. Okay.
I tell your stories.
Yeah, you tell my stories better than I do.
Yeah.
Well, it's the accent.
Funny, they're the repeated refrain. They say it 4 or 5 times in the movie. It's like, we're on our bloody holiday. Like,
Yeah.
as though the fact that they're on vacation ought to mean that they should be protected, having to hang out with people we don't like
Well, I
because
think
we're
that's
being polite.
I think that's kind of what Schrader and maybe even Pinter to a degree is trying to say is like, I think we undermine the idea of what a vacation is. Like, and even to a point where Schrader, who was mostly known as a very American director, you know, everything from Hardcore and obviously Taxi Driver and American Gigolo, like the fact that he was in a foreign country himself, shooting out of his comfort level, it felt like he was kind of giving himself a vacation, seeing things new. But when you do that, you have to also be susceptible to losing control. You can do things on your own, and those are, if anything, those are more life affirming than trying to hit all the beats of I need to do this and that, I got to see this. And like there's that moment in National Lampoon's Vacation when they get to the Grand Canyon and they just go,
all right.
okay, let's
check
go.
it off.
It's out. I think Schrader is trying to say like sometimes you have to let go. Now there are consequences to that as well.
One of the consequences is that they end up being invited by Robert to his house where he lives with his wife, Caroline, a Canadian played by Helen Mirren. And I did think it was really interesting that he picked 2 great actors, Christopher Walken and Helen Mirren, who have very distinct, recognizable voices.
Oh, yeah.
And makes them both do accents. It's like he almost wants them to become strangers again to the audience. Because I did actually think Walken and Mirren's accents as an Italian and a Canadian were really good.
Also, funny little fact that like both Helen Mirren and Natasha Richardson both dated Liam Neeson.
Good job, Liam. 2 of the sexiest ladies to have ever lived.
He had a certain set of skills.
He did.
Sorry.
No, he clearly. Caroline, interestingly, introduces herself to Mary by saying that she watched them as they were sleeping. And it's funny.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
almost like Funny Games again, where these characters are kind of transparent to a fault. Like it's like they know already that the consequences of what they're saying to this other person, like normally we don't say things that we think the other person might find strange because we're worried they'll think of us as like strange.
Yeah.
But it's like they almost know. It's like the comfort of strangeness rather than the comfort of strangers.
But I think that's what I got watching both these films back to back is that I think between Peter and Paul and between Walken and Mirren, this is clearly not the first time that they've done these before. There is a pattern here. They like, you know, each family or couple are just another bunch of flies in their trap. And, you know, like Funny Games, it's like they're going from house to house to house and probably doing similar to the same things.
Yeah.
Whereas this couple that is luring in this like foreign couple, even I think it's personified by, or even like kind of strengthened by Walken doing that story over and over again.
But what's different though is that like I agree it's like this couple is trying to provoke the other couple out of their complacent privilege, but it's really Robert who I feel like would be a target, the Christopher Walken character, by the boys in Funny Games, because he's, you know, the ultimate representation of inherited wealth.
Yeah. Crossover. Have Peter and Paul versus Christopher Walken.
I disagreed with myself as I was talking because the whole point of Funny Games is that they're provoking them out of complacency, and I don't think that Robert, he's actively protecting his privilege. He cares so much about being dominant. There's even a moment when Colin says to him, like, you know, he looks around his house at all his archival materials from his family and stuff. He's like, oh, it's like a museum to the good old days. And out of nowhere, Robert just punches Colin right in the stomach.
Yeah.
And it's like he can't bear to hear like this kind of being made fun of almost for it, or being made light of, because to him it's like so important to maintain that structure. So maybe the fact that he's being so active about it would make him not a target by the these boys
Yeah.
because he knows that there's a bit of a house of cards to it, and he is going to be the one that ends up on top of that deck no matter what the cost.
Both these movies are taking two different couples, or two different families that the audience in most cases is supposed to relate to in one form or another. Did you relate to Rupert and
Miranda, Colin and Mary? Yeah, I mean, what I love is that they, it is a very long-term relationships are really difficult. And I love that, so after this strange experience in Robert and Caroline's house, that's what ends up provoking them out of their dry spell. And they spend days like a new blissed out couple.
Did you notice that the separate beds have now come together?
We see stacks of plates lined up outside of the...
Someone got room service.
Yeah, because they've just spent days just in this carnal bliss with each other like teenagers, and I love that we get to see that because it's almost this, they both try on this night dress. They wake up naked at Robert and Caroline's and they try on this night dress, and they both comment on how beautiful they look in that light wearing the night dress, and it's like they're seeing each other and themselves again in a new light thanks to this kind of provocative interaction with them. And I do think that there is something to be said by the reasons why we go on vacation in the first place is to try to see ourselves and the person that we're with differently, to escape ourselves. So I found that very relatable. They almost want to experience it from the other's point of view. There's moments where Colin is asking Mary what's it like to experience sex from a woman's point of view. And then when they're having dinner later, he says, "Oh, I'm jealous of your beauty." And he quickly clarifies he means jealous of other people lusting over her, and he wants to possess her. But for a moment when he said that, it's like, are you jealous that you're not her? You don't get to experience what it's like to be a beautiful woman as well as a beautiful man. And they all these strangers around them are looking at them, and they're just talking about how in lust every stranger is with them, they're all lusting after them in as much as they're lusting after each other and themselves. And I love that moment. I want that for every couple. To just assume that everyone around them is just oh man,
I wish that was them.
Yeah, that couple smells of sex and I want to have sex with them.
I'll have what they're having.
Yeah, which it does make it sad that as the schisms start to arise once again towards
as things
the end
start to
of
get
the film,
horrible,
we start to cut back to Robert again. He starts to intercede on their narrative again. And there's a really interesting moment when they're on a tour boat and Colin asks if they can get off a stop early, and he says it's to get back to the hotel in a more logical way. But when they do get off the boat, it becomes clear that stop is right in front of Robert and Caroline's, and so it becomes an active decision that we must assume he is making to reconnect to this other couple, because they're the ones that kind of help them
set
see
them
each
free.
other into this veneer of lust and sexuality in the first place.
It's almost like he became addicted to it.
He's being called back to them, almost
lured in
exactly
into the game.
Mary even asks oh, do you want to? It's well, we can't bloody well be rude, can we? Once again, the rules of politeness rule all. Colin and Robert go off. Robert starts telling everyone that Colin is his lover. Mary and Caroline are in a corner, and Caroline admits that the pain in her back is from years of sadomasochistic sex that she's been having with Robert, and that at first she didn't like it, but she's since learned to love it because it's something about that submissive subjugation that's so different from her life otherwise. And it made me think about sex also being a kind of a vacation, in the sense that we get to role play and experience ourselves in different ways, and that's kind of what a vacation is supposed to be. Spoiler alert once again.
Spoiler alert.
The ultimate climax, I guess, of the movie, though it doesn't feel that climactic. It's almost very passive because, they drug Mary, and we as an audience are just kind of passively forced to just sit there drugged out and watch.
It just happens so matter-of-factly.
Yeah, so they cut Colin's throat.
That freaked me the fuck out.
It was so creepy.
Because for the longest time, I'm watching it, and even when you're how you're describing it here, to anyone who's never seen the movie, you go, sounds like a pretty good fucking vacation. But it's these tiny little details. It's like if you could take the screaming metal from the beginning of Funny Games that just kind of speed plots you into dread. This is kind of 1,000 cuts by degrees, where the dread becomes so looming and so character-based that by the time you get to that horrible shot of Rupert when Walken kind of goes over to him and does the deed, it's, again, not done in a like giallo or slasher movie way. It's almost done like over the shoulder. You barely see it. The thing that freaked me out was like twitching limbs. That always gets me. Whenever I see like twitching limbs and shit, it just feels so real.
They have this Badalamenti score that's sweeping and romantic,
and
it goes into slow motion, and she's just watching all like duh, and they embrace and walk off. One must imagine to be intimate with one another, and then it slowly just crossfades, and this really good crossfade where Miranda Richardson's just kind of watching, like unable to do anything, and she's then in a police station still watching, unable to do anything. And like Funny Games, we are robbed of any kind of a real conclusion or climax or cathartic moment.
It's not like the end of Psycho where they just lay everything out for you.
Yeah, it's like ends, and even the police don't understand. Like they're questioning Robert, and they're like, we don't get it.
And then he goes in and tells his story again.
Telling just the same anecdote. Like, listen, to understand what happened, you got to understand me. And to understand me, you got to understand my father. And just starts the whole thing over again.
And the second that like we get into the third act, I went, oh, fuck. Like, it was a much more subtle version of what I was literally shoving in your face with Funny Games.
Routine and tribalism of how we act as home is meant to be left behind when we go on vacation. We're meant to lose ourselves. And I don't think it's any coincidence that Colin and Mary are lost when Robert first bumps into them.
Yeah.
It's allegorical in a way. Again, just like Funny Games. And a vacation gone wrong is like when you're unable to find anything after you lose yourself and you're just lost forever.
Both movies, you almost need I even see movies as being a vacation, and both of these movies, it's like you sit there and go, oh God, I might need a comedy after this, but I think that's the point.
Well, yeah, because Robert and Caroline, I think they represent the extreme version of that, of kind of trying to establish or reinforce your sense of self by taking the lost souls of vacationers and
preying on them.
Robert, the way that he reinforces his narrative constantly throughout the film is this kind of, this sick, twisted idea of dominance. I mean, we are constantly, everyone is trying to make an impression. We're constantly trying to impress ourselves upon others. And I mean, what is more assertive, and how can one impress upon another person more than by literally killing them, by dominating them to the point of like taking their selves away from the world completely. There's nothing more permanent than that. It's like he is trying to cheat death in the way that Funny Games says you can't, by robbing Colin of his
other people's lives.
Yes, it's like that somehow makes his existence and his identity that much more relevant and surpasses almost metaphysically the inevitability of death.
Both films are very similar in a way where in the end it's our protagonists who bring us into the story are both killed. And there is a predator-prey dynamic that there is plenty of other vacation gone wrong movies, National Lampoon's Vacation or whatever, or any of those movies where it's always you are always tethered to the protagonist to see how they're reacting to their outside surroundings. And both of these movies, we end up with the antagonists. So were they the protagonists the whole time? And we're just watching their next case study, their next victim. It's really interesting that we would both kind of come to the conclusion of having these movies that I would have never paired to begin with.
So,
all right. So wait, ready? Last call.
Last call.
So, was this a good double feature, and was the order correct?
I would never, ever, ever play these movies together ever again. I think it was a bad double feature.
Maybe. Yeah. I
think
didn't
they
want to be the
were-
first to admit it.
No, I feel like it was, we were both interested in similar themes.
I think we were both thinking that someone else was going to bring up a
Yeah.
comedy. So we're like the one person who brings the fruitcake to the Christmas party thinking no one else is going to bring the fruitcake. And everyone brings the fruitcake, or actually
Fruitcake.
the pasta. It's the pasta dish. Everyone brings lasagna
pasta.
thinking no one else is going to bring lasagna to the Christmas
lasagna.
party. And we all brought it. So we both brought some dour lasagna.
It was a lot. They're both playing with these really dense themes.
Heavy stuff.
We had a lot of starch.
We had a lot of starch. And while I would agree that like I was really glad that I got to revisit Funny Games 08, and I was thrilled to watch The Comfort of Strangers because I had never seen it before. I think next time we should probably consider, if we had the power to do it, throw a comedy in there, maybe afterwards.
Talking about embracing the chaos as one ought to do on vacation, we now have a new way of doing our themes every week. Part of the reason hasn't gone very well so far because clearly this last double feature was a little intense. But so what we're doing now, if you didn't watch the last episode, is we randomly pick a theme from the Thematic Sorting Hat.
Yes.
And that's now how we decide what movies we bring to our double features, which we never know. So let's hope next time we have a little bit more of a diverse balance.
Yes. And for all of you out there, when you comment on YouTube or even if you hit us on socials, throw out a couple
yes.
theme ideas. If we like it, we're going to put it in here and we're going to write your name down. And if yours gets picked, we'll shout your name out at the very least.
The power is you. You could be Robert or Caroline or Peter or Paul.
And we're not rewinding.
And we will be, you're the family on vacation trapped in your sadistic, manipulative hands.
All right, here I go. I'm going to roll it around. What will the theme be this week? Okay, and the theme is beggars can't be choosers.
Ooh.
Interesting. Oh boy, this is.
Show it so they know we're
Yep,
not lying.
Yep, there you go. Beggars can't be choosers. Look at that focus right there. So there you go. Again, thank you so much for everybody for checking out the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube.
Yeah, and please watch the double feature yourself if you want and let us know. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe they are excellent to watch together. I don't know. I'm just a little sad now, but it's okay.
Yeah, we definitely need a comedy in our midst.
There's old fashions in the moment, and there's, National Lampoon's Vacation.
You can even watch Christmas Vacation in April if it's going to acclimate you a little bit more and make you a little bit fucking happy. So again, like and subscribe on YouTube. You can follow us on Instagram at the handles below. Don't forget to pick up a copy of The Last Drive-In Blu-ray and DVD with 2 of my films. And of course, thank you so much to Diabolic DVD for sponsoring this episode. We truly appreciate it, and let physical media always live, win, whatever. Lynn.
And the date night will never die.
Yes. And then without further ado, we got to do the thing.
Oh, crap.
Yep. You always forget.
I don't know. Wait.
Should I get the dog?
Movies. Wait. Movies. They're... Damn it! I can't get it. What's the line?
What's wrong with you? Fine, use the remote again. God damn it. Try it again.
No, I honestly can't remember though. I can't. Movies. They're the... Oh. Movies. They're the only marathon worth participating in, and they're what date nights are made for.
Only took you 3 remote rewinds to get it right. Good job. See you next week, everybody.
Alcohol kills brain cells.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.